So Paul Heyman got kicked out of the Bloodline this past Friday night on SmackDown. Not only did he get kicked out, he got powerbombed through an announce table in one of the more shocking moments we've seen since WrestleMania throughout this whole bad Bloodline storyline they're running right now. And it got me thinking, well, they just kicked out Paul Heyman as their wise man. Don't they still need somebody to like fill out paperwork and talk to management about their various plans? Don't they need a new wise man? Aren't they gonna hire a new bad wise man for the bad Bloodline? Probably not. That's probably not going to happen, but I was thinking about it anyways, and I thought it'd be kind of a fun video to throw a bunch of names out there that could potentially be bad wise man to the bad Bloodline. So let's go ahead and get started. There's 6 names on this list. I don't like them all, so I'm going to give you the ones that I kind of don't like first, and then we'll get into some that actually could really work. Number 1, Jake Roberts. And I know you're probably thinking many things right now. Number 1, Jake is a bit on the old side. I think last time I saw him, he had an oxygen tank, but he was on AEW programming. I have no idea what his contract status is with AEW, but if maybe he's free at some point, I don't know. Jake Roberts is kind of a sinister guy. I could see him being an evil manager to the bad Bloodline. When I say I could see that, that's not actually true. I couldn't really see it, but I'm just trying to throw out some names here first. Because I needed to fill out this list. He's a manager. He's a bad guy. He brings some gravitas to the Bloodline, if that's what they're looking for. I could see him being a foil to the good Bloodline's Paul Heyman. Perhaps not. So let's move on to the next name. Eric Bischoff. Last time we saw Eric Bischoff, he was on that Who Killed WCW show where he was getting teary-eyed at Kevin Nash saying some very nice things about him.
Cool.
I don't know that I particularly like this, although Eric Bischoff in that documentary series said, I still have a love for professional wrestling business. Obviously, the guy is still doing his podcast and he's still an active guy. Who knows if he'd want to return? I think he probably would love to return to WWE, to be completely honest with you. So I think he probably would want to return as talent. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But if they wanted a true counter to Paul Heyman, if Paul Heyman's going to be Roman's wise man going forward throughout this good Bloodline, bad Bloodline story that they're trying to tell, or they're inevitably going to tell, then maybe you need a counter to Paul Heyman, and I can't think of anybody better than Eric Bischoff in that role anyways. I mean, if you remember, they go back a long ways, back when Eric Bischoff used to poach the living shit out of ECW talent from Paul Heyman, and of course, they both ended up in sort of general manager roles there in WWE. Who could forget that cool promo that him, Vince, and Heyman had in the ring together back in like 02, 03, whenever that was. Maybe it was 01, I forget. But in any event, Eric Bischoff, the guy still has a lot left in the tank, I feel. Whether or not he'd sort of fit in with the bad Bloodline, I don't know, but I kind of like the idea that bad Bloodline would be going outside the family, outside the actual Bloodline, to bring in some help. But yeah, I don't really see this one, I'll be honest with you. It just doesn't seem like it would fit all that great, but it's a name. Let's go ahead and dive into some names that I actually think could potentially work. Number 1, Rikishi. That's right, Solo Sikoa's dad, the Usos' dad, and of course, this guy is a bit of a schemer himself. Who could forget those famous words?
I did it for The Rock.
And here's the thing, if The Rock is actually, throw up your L's for the final boss, if he actually is the big mastermind behind the bad Bloodline, which I still think is possible and maybe even likely, I think it's entirely possible that we could hear Rikishi come back as bad wise man and say, I did it again for
The Rock.
I don't know if Rikishi would want to come back or if he's any condition to come back, although I did see him at a couple conventions a couple years ago and he still seems like he's in good shape. But I don't know. I think that could be kind of fun. It'd be like in The Godfather 1, when Vito Corleone was the consigliere, the wise man, to Michael Corleone after Vito got shot up and Michael took over and Sonny got completely destroyed by bullets at the causeway or whatever that thing was, the toll booth. Probably just move on now. All right, next up, we explored the Usos' dad. What about Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa's dad, Haku? Everybody in wrestling has always said just how much of a tough guy, how much nobody ever wanted to fuck with Haku because he was the real deal. He was a legit tough guy. Man, every time I see him in like shoot interviews, even when he was on, it wasn't Who Killed, I think it was Dark Side of the Ring, one of the recent Dark Sides of the Ring, the guy has still got all the charisma in the world. He helped out his kids back in the days of the old Bullet Club Civil War. So maybe he would want to be active. He wouldn't have to say a lot, even though in all of his interviews, like the dude's totally articulate and stuff. I'm sure he could manage dialogue if he needed to. But like, talk about an air of authenticity. Plus, he's part of the bloodline. That sounds like it'd be kind of amazing, to be honest with you. I actually really like this pick, and it might be my favorite one on this list. I think they should bring in Haku to be the bad wise man to the bad bloodline. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I got 2 more picks here. We're going to go ahead and dive into them now. First up, Armando Estrada. This guy was actually managing Jacob Fatu about 5 years ago. He was Umaga's manager, so he's part of that sort of bloodline situation, the bloodline family kind of. And I have no idea. They'd have to, like, I don't know, reconfigure his character to make it a little heavier and not quite as... My thing about Armando Estrada back in the day is that he came off more like, I don't know, a circus promoter guy who had, ooh, maga, you know, all that kind of stuff. So they'd have to sort of mellow him out a little bit and give him a little bit of a sinister edge. But as we know, with older, when you get older, you get that gravitas that you need to sort of represent bad bloodline. I think Armando Estrada would be kind of a cool pick, to be honest with you. Let's go ahead and dive into my last pick here. MVP. This guy is no stranger to managing dominant factions. Of course, he was the manager for the Hurt Business. And recently has been on social media kind of semi-throwing shade at Triple H, saying that we pitched him and he turned it down. We pitched the Hurt Business to Triple H and he said, nah, doesn't want to do it. But he's done it like several times now. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second. What if, just what if, that's part of a story? What if he's on social media talking shit because the bad bloodline is going to bring in MVP to be their bad wise man, and he's already got some conflict with Triple H because he talks shit on social media? Probably not going to happen, to be honest with you. Probably not going to happen, but I kind of think it would be cool. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Does the bad bloodline need a bad wise man? Should they bring in somebody to handle the paperwork, the travel, all the managerial tasks that you need to be a proper bad bloodline? Let me know in the comments below. While you're around, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys around. Hey, you guys gonna watch Money in the Bank? You wanna watch it with me? No, not well, like in my house. No, I mean, come hang out for the Friendo Club watch along to Money in the Bank this Saturday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Come on, don't be lonely watching wrestling. Come watch it with the friendos, because watching it by yourself is, not gonna lie, kind of sad. It's kind of sad. Don't be sad. I don't want that.